is the Simpit. I'm your host, Shaun Cole, and welcome to today's edition of the Pit Stop, where you, the pit crew, you are the real star of today's show. And I get to slow things down just a little bit. Happy hump day to everybody out there. I guess that isn't slowing it up when I switch topics that quickly on you. But not a whole lot of news out there today, and you got to think why. Why would there be such little news on a Wednesday in the middle of the month? Well, E3's over. We have some eminent game title releases coming, but they're a little ways off, and most of those companies have kind of put all their cards on the table already, so to speak. So not a lot of news out of those guys. You know, you have some little patches here and there, and I think I missed it, but I think there were a couple little patches for Assetto Corsa Competizione. I don't know if they were game changer patches. I haven't heard so, but we're kind of in that little mode. So we will expect things to be a little quiet, and that's why before the show today in chat, I was actually just kind of asking, hey, what's on your guys' minds? What are topics of discussion? Because we might be a little bit light on news, which that's no problem. We'll keep it down to like a reasonably length show. But if there's anything on your mind, anything you think in sim racing that we need to be talking about, today is definitely one of those days. So again, happy hump day to everybody out there. I like hump day. You know, I like titling days so that I have a reason to look forward to every single day. And, you know, when a lot of the world will say, oh, you got a case of the Mondays. For me, it's Monday Fun Day many a time, unless I'm too busy with work. Dave Blair, I'm glad you mentioned that because I don't have that topic up. The Steam Summer Sale is coming up. Great time to buy games that you've been like wondering, they're going to be on the kind of discount that you're going to want to get them. So you might want to save up a little money. Another thing coming very, very soon is Amazon Prime Day. So if you're looking to buy something that is it might be on a good day, good deal coming up. Hey, Charles Campanella. I don't know if I've seen your name in the chat before. Hello and welcome to the show. Oh, awesome. You got dinner and entertainment for Ola. Devin Booth said it was Dirty Day for him, Dirty Wednesday, so he's going to be out there doing some dirt rally, I'm assuming, Devin. That's very cool. I'd like to get out and do some dirt. I'd like to get out in the Pro 4 trucks and do a race this week. I did last week, but not this week. I've lost my mind as far as calendar goes, and there's a lot of good reason for that. But I want to get out and do some more Pro 4 trucks is my version of getting dirty right now. For me, it was also all about WRC 8 over the E3 week. That's why I'm a little lost on my calendar and about to leave town. Again, surprise, surprise, I am on the air because I thought I was going to be off the air all of this week, but it turns out that's coming. I'll give you more news on that at the beginning of next week, what's going on with the timing and the calendar of the show. But what's going on in sim racing? iRacing, we warned you, or I told you Monday, they're going to have their first episode of their podcast. I didn't get a chance to listen to it. Did any of you get a chance? But now iRacing is going to use the audio. You know, you think about like R Factor with their roadmap, you know, and everybody's got a fancy name for how they get information out to people. Is iRacing going the audio version where you're going to listen to what's going on as much as you're going to read and look for screenshots and things like that? It is on Spotify, and they're calling it iTunes. Didn't they change that name? Anyway, podcast, apple.com, iRacing Downshift, they're calling it. So you can check that out. What else? Not a whole lot today. Dirt Rally got a little patch, 0.15 with clubs at the start, plus hotfix and new rallycross track Latvia. The reason I'm mentioning this, I don't think this is super brand new news as much as while I was away at E3, there were things going on. So if you haven't checked it out, there might be an update or even two, in my case, for Dirt Rally 2.0. I'm going to have to do that and see if I can get my controls working. I want to get back down on that, but I think the last time I did, I was having control issues. So, let's see, just catching up. We're slowing things down, Theodore. Best rally game ever. Devin, yeah, I understand. I mean, I agree. They should have contacted us. You know, I love podcasts when I'm going somewhere. Like, I like listening to podcasts when I'm in the car, for sure. RM Bath asks about the HPP PRX SE pedals. Did I keep them? Yes, I did. Are they still pedals of choice for you? They are tied for like the best pedals that I've ever used. I have two favorite pedals that I've ever used: the Ricmotech Real Gear GT Pro pedals and the HPP PRX SE, and they are both incredibly well matched comparative pedals. So no, I do use them, but my main pedals are the Ricmotech. But take that with a grain of salt. Ricmotech are a longtime sponsor of the show, but a company that I've used many of their products and mods, and big fan of what they do. So big fan of both those companies. But they're incredible pedals. Yeah, Raceline, there's nothing like hydraulic pedals. Do you need them? Do you have to have hydraulic pedals to be... No. In fact, I have a pair of T3 PA pedals that before I did the load cell mod, I just had the conical little rubber cone mod, and I could run as good as I could with anything. When I run with hydraulics, it's an immersion, it's a realism. A certain amount of consistency comes with that heavy hydraulic feel, but certainly no more obtaining perfection is certainly no more realistic. I mean, you're going to obtain perfection with anything you learn to play on. Yeah, spatial. The radio is dying. So at this point, I put podcasts on my cell phone, and I listen to those when I'm on long drives, which I love doing, by the way. All right, what else? Dirt Rally. So there were some updates in Dirt Rally. Max, are you excited about Dirt Rally? Come here. It's just Dirt Rally. Codemasters. Now, they are calling this the very first Codies Paddock passes here. So we were just talking about the naming of our various ways of giving information out there. The Paddock Pass is here. It's our fortnightly update on all things Codemasters, including game news, sales, careers, and more. So they have a link here through their Twitter page. We go to it, Codies Paddock Pass, Episode 1. They talk about F1 2019. They talk about Lee Mather at E3, which is all that they did at E3. They talk about F1 Mobile Racing, Dirt Rally 2.0, Grid, and any other business. They're talking about their people and things like that. So that's their way of getting information out to you all, to us all. Excuse me. No VR, not surprised. So it's funny. One thing I didn't talk about at E3 was the but the practical disappearance of VR at E3. Now, Oculus had the biggest booth ever, but there were fewer game titles pushing VR than there have been in the last 3 years, which is very interesting. So VR, now I'm not saying VR is dying. It's honestly not practical at a trade show is what the problem is. Anyway, moving on. Hey, Shaun Seabrand, how you doing? So yeah, Cody's got their what are they calling it? Paddock. The Cody's Paddock Pass. In addition to that, they did put out on their blog, so I'm not sure which is which or if one is the same now. F1 2019, your frequently asked questions. This is something else that I actually missed while I was away. So if it's coming out very quickly here. If you want all that last tidbit of whetting your palate and increasing your appetite for the game, you might want to check those out through the Cody's blog, including the 3 R's of F1: respect, reputation, and rivalry. How much do those 3 words apply to you? We all race. We all race in our various sims, in our various disciplines of sim racing. Respect, reputation, and rivalry. Dave Cater, rest in peace. Dave Cater, longtime sim racer, helped out thousands of people in sim racing at iRace for Life. I remember him talking about the only real currency we have as a sim racer is the respect that we get from others that comes from being a good, strong, clean sim racer. Respect, Respect is a big deal to me in sim racing. You have to give some, you have to earn some. Reputation. You know what? You know where you are. You run in a league, you know where you stand. And there's some guy who's normally finishing on the podium. You're normally finishing 10th, and he spun out and he's on your ass. Well, might want to let him by. Maybe his reputation precedes his position, and you might want to be a little more heads up and prevent the latest or the next crash. Rivalry. Man, many of you are my rivals, whether it be Wreckfest or whether it be Cutthroat Series like the Truck Series or whatever it is that we run together. Many of you that I can count on. Great door-to-door fun racing means the world to me. Respect, reputation, rivalry. Anyway, the 3 R's of F1 2019. Talking more about the game as it's coming out very soon. Raceroom, Nurburgring. So Nurburgring this weekend, the 24-hour, I guess they're calling it. Make sure to visit the Raceroom Cafe for a chance to drive against the real FIA WTCR drivers in the Raceroom simulators. This is going on the 21st, so 2 days from now. It's always hard for me to flip the month and day, but obviously it's not the 21st month. It's the 6th month, 21st day. Brian Ostrike says, Mall of America, which isn't that like the biggest or the second or third biggest mall in the world at this point? Just opened Mercedes pop-up store. They have 2 VR rigs with project cars on it, both falling apart already. I was down when I tried. The other was too bad. I had to contact them and go out and give them some input on what they're doing with their rigs. Tim Spatial Dragon says that I lose my mind every time he passes me, and that is absolutely right, and that gets down to rivalries, Tim. What else? Gran Turismo also Nurburgring World Tour 2019. So this is going on the 21st through 22nd. So all sorts of cool. Whoa. Man, I owe you guys push-ups already, and I almost pushed it big time doing that here. Nurburgring 21st and 22nd, the competitors. These are the boys, the guys, the gentlemen, the competitors, such as Willow, Bovoy, Darush, Lopez, Maraglino, Blazon, Conan. I should just stop doing this, huh? Anyway, look at the big names that are going to be there. This is in the Nations Cup. Representing North America, our hero, Igor Fraga. That's a guy. People are going to wear Igor Fraga jersey one of these days. Rubelar. Anyway, these are the guys going to be there. Big deal going on Nurburgring. So right now, if you're in Germany or anywhere near, it is time to head over to Nurburgring. I know it's just a little bit out of the way. But you can find and watch some of the best competition and actually participate in the case of the Raceroom going over there and doing the Raceroom Cafe when all this action is going on. Yeah, Mercedes rigs are not, those Mercedes rigs are not Simpit approved. I will consult you for a mere $500 a day. There you go. Rip says he has a bumper for me. Just kidding. I love racing with all of you. It always puts a smile on my face when I race with the pit crew. It's so true, though. More names, please. The sim contender. Is that our like comedy relief of the day? Shaun pronouncing names. So you know, other competitors in the event are Lutkovsky, Kin Long Lee, Ryota Kokaburn, Sugawara, Wong, Portila, Rubelar, Pounder, Solis, Bader, Kevelham. Looks like I got through the harder ones at the beginning, by the way. Anyway, all right, those are the guys. Congratulations to the GT Sport and a lot going on at Nurburgring. Fanatec is now talking about, you know what they're not talking about? Fanatec is not talking about their software. They talk about the update for Gran Turismo. That's great. They have not talked about the software for the podium, and that's starting to get a little interesting. Fanatec Podium Advanced Paddle Module. Automotive grade quality sim racing. These are like their magnetic shifters. Little unboxing video showing them off. So if that's something, just kind of looking forward to, I guess, the podium level wheels that will one day embrace the DD1 and DD2 bases. But we do still they're not talking about quality control. They're still not talking about software, which was supposed to be out at the end of last month. Brad Morrison, I'm going to go through some track names. There you go. Humpday, third Humpday of the month. You know what that means. That means the Ricmotech Hot Lap Challenge. That's going to start up at 3 o'clock my time. That is really early for me to get going. 3 to 7 my time or 6 to 10 Eastern time. Sorry for knocking on the table. No idea what track. No idea what car. I do know it's going to be iRacing. But I'll be there with Kevin Ford. We're going to have a special guest, I heard, in the booth. Somebody who's been there before. We're going to really be working on and talking setup during tonight's 4-hour show. We'll have 2 cameras down there in Miami checking out what's going on in Miami. We're going to have the guys from Extreme Motorsports there who are unfortunately faster than me for the most part. We're going to try our best to get on the podium. We've done it once. Can we do it again? Can we do it with the help of a very special guest? Tune in at 3, and you'll be able to find that out live. It'll be 4 hours. You're welcome to join us. Kevin will be giving out the password if you'd like to join us. I'll be streaming it on the channel, of course, and it should be a lot of fun. What else? What else to talk about? Sim Racing Garage did a video. Cool. Spatial throwing down a guess of Unser. DT2 with cheaper steering wheels. Billy Goat Boy is thinking of getting a Fanatec CSL. Billy Goat, you might. I mean, the CSL is a really good wheel. But if you're in this for the long term, you might want to check out the 2.5 if you're thinking that direction. Barry's letting his hair get long. We all have to make changes. Izzy, how you doing, buddy? A wheel shootout. You know, shootouts are kind of interesting tests, though. It's hard to do that fair because I'm one of those people that believes it actually takes quite a bit of time to get 100% dialed in. I can run anything fast out of the gate. Fast for me, I should say. But doing it at my best might take 2 or 3 weeks of really fine tuning, and then you'd need like 5 rigs lined up, dialed in by me to then do that piece. Real Trisk. Oh yes. No, I don't disagree. So he says he loves his DD2. It works marvelously. And you don't need the software to enjoy it. It works great with standard drivers. You are 100% right on that, by the way. I do have a little issue with electrical noise that kicks up and causes some audio problems. There's always workarounds for things like grounding, which improved it. Switch my audio to, what do you call a little color, the red wire? Fiber optic. So there's always workarounds for such things, and it works. I mean, with generic software, so to speak, standard drivers, it works just like any other direct drive wheel out there, to be honest with you. You're 100% right, so I'm not trying to bash them, but as a reviewer, I'm really waiting on the software because I'm expecting it to add things and different abilities that I can get more out of it than you can get with even Leo Bodner software. That's what I'm kind of hoping is in store for it. But at this point, I'm getting impatient, and I'd like to get the review out, but I feel like it's still a little unfair. Barry Manilow, Tom Jones in Vegas. All right, moving right along. Benasono, how do you say Bensonius? Bensonius, Prime. Bensonius Prime. Sorry about that. I'm such a... Wah, wah, wah. All right. Yes, optical. Aspidif. Optical. Okay. Nothing's wrong with their software, David Payne. No. There's nothing wrong. They're coming out with a software suite which is going to give you more tunability than what it already has. All right, moving right along. Olli Hotlap. He's one of my favorite sim racers because not only is this guy like probably on everybody's top 10 or top 20 list, but he's just living the life, man. He works for Fanatec. He's a McLaren Shadow driver. He's running at the highest levels of esport. And he's just a fun guy. I mean, when a lot of those guys are starting to get dry, have you noticed how, like, the pro sim racers are getting a little dry now? Like, professional racers almost, for the most. Olli is, you know, James Hunt. He's the James Hunt of sim racing, in my opinion. Anyway, a little lap of him doing Circuit Paul Ricard, if you want to find your way around that track, as, like I say, what we see, we want to emulate and drive. Motorsport did an article here talking about Team Veloce and winning the Le Mans Esports Super Final. How it was thrilling and how it was just as much of a test of mental strength and endurance as the real life race. And you could argue that point. Oh, it's one of those subscribe. You know what? I take this back. Forget this article. I'll just once again say congratulations to the guys who competed in that big event. We talked about the Steam sale coming. We talked about Amazon Prime. Well, Humble has some things going on. What can we get on sale right now? American Truck Simulator. I mentioned this for good reason, but just remember that. $4.99, 75% off. Assetto Corsa, not Competizione, but the regular, $10. Project Cars 2 Deluxe Edition, $26.99, or the standard game, $17.99. Euro Truck Simulator, $4.99. I mentioned that a lot of you guys played the Euro Truck at $4.99. If you've been curious, you might as well give it a try. It could make your weekend fun. And what else? All right, that's it. Humble Bundle. If you're looking for entertainment this weekend, for something, diversion game even. I mean, maybe it's something I didn't mention. Anyway, the reason I mentioned that, Tim has mentioned a few different times right now that the Washington DLC for American Truck Simulator is like the best they've ever done. Am I wrong, Tim? Have you not said that? Anyway, there's a write-up at PC Invasion talking about, and I'm doing this for my rival Tim because I know how much he loves this game, this sim, and has mentioned many a time how cool Washington is. So anyway, if you're a fan, you can pick up American Truck Simulator for $4.99. The DLC will probably cost you more than that, but you can experience Washington State, the that upper left state here in the United States, not Washington D.C. Anyway, looks pretty amazing for a sim. Looks really amazing. MotoGP.com actually did a write-up on how to become the 2019 MotoGP Esport champion. So last year, they had their own esport. We covered it here. We talked about some of the winners periodically. I have a feeling that the second year MotoGP Esport is going to get even more exposure than in the last. They have the new version of the title. MotoGP has got to be getting that same vibe that F1 is getting. They need their esport. They need their esport champions. They need to reach out to that younger audience. Let's face it. They really do. And so they're looking in that direction as well, and a whole write-up at MotoGP. So as we watch, and this will be the topic, I mean, maybe, I'm not sure if this is going to be a topic of 2019 or a topic of 2020, but the bubble. We're going to be watching the esport bubble. And is there a bubble? Is there a bubble in esport that's different than ours? Are we a specialty market? Think of it as a stock. Think of it as real estate. A lot of speculation that it's overinflated, a bubble that could burst and its value could just drop by the 10 or 100-fold. Checking in with you guys. Yes, Bonsonius Prime. Yes, but you can get around that with particular rims, if I'm not mistaken. I'd have to double check. Yes, I lived in Washington. I have not driven it, so I can't tell you how accurate it is, to be honest with you. My experience with long-distance sims of any type, and this applies to flight sim, train sim, any kind of distance-based sim versus fixed racetrack sim, is that certain iconic spots are usually done very well, so that if you were knowledgeable of the region, you'd be like, oh, look, it's very obvious that I'm in the tri-state area because that's exactly how that freeway and that freeway split. That's exactly some of the scenery that is there, the bridge that is immediately following. And then you get into sort of a more generic terrain that would be resembling. So obviously Washington is full of, the West Coast is full of hills and green trees, things like that. So you get that kind of a vibe. Or like if they did the Pacific Coast down here in Southern California, you know, like Santa Monica and Malibu, you have some iconic features that you get 2 or 3 of those, and anybody who knows the region would be like, yeah, that's dead on. And then it kind of gets just a generic windy road, and then maybe like that iconic spot where, you know, all the TV commercials are filmed. So that's my experience with all of those kind of long distance games. I don't think I'm leading the hot lap. I'm getting very lucky. Number one, attendance. Any kind of a championship, attendance is number one. Number two, there's like some random ways of scoring bonus points. And since I'm always the first one there, I tend to rack up a few extra bonus points. But it's kind of my job to be there from the very get-go. I know I'm doing well in the overall. And we're talking about Hot Lap Humpday, the overall points. The new Ducati has hit Ride 3. Do I have to stop mentioning Ride 3? I don't think I've had a single person, not one person, say, hey, more Ride 3 news, please. Anyway, so, I mean, that's all I'm going to give it. Ducati, another iconic brand in motorcycling. I'm sure that's a very big deal to the people who play Ride 3. I would be excited. This is free pack number 10. You know what? Let's give credit where credit is due to Milestone. 10 free DLC packs for Ride 3. That's pretty impressive. Izzy! Thank you, Izzy. Ride 3 is a good game. And Ride 2 is good as well. Yeah, Flight Sim, same thing. You get to a region and you're like, oh, that's exactly the layout of LAX. Not even LAX. It's like, there's downtown right where it belongs. There's Santa Monica Mountains right where they belong. And the things that as a aviation person, if you were flying visually, the things that you would use to know where you were to line up for the runway even, all of those things are done very well. Now, is the perfect grid of the city perfect? No. And then once you get to the surrounding areas, it's a little less important, and then so on and so on. So, Team VVV. I'm pointing this out because I'm a little behind on my WRC8 thoughts. I mean, we've talked about it, so, I mean, if you guys are watching every show, you'd already kind of know some of my thoughts on Big Ben Clioton WRC8. There was a hand controller preview done from E3, done by one of the Kevin Dooley of Team VVV. So even though I'm promoting another site, I'm telling you that for a reason, because again, it is sort of that time. A lot of people want to know WRC8 coming out in September. Here's another article here from Game Reactor coming off of E3. Kylote, I can never say this, Kyloton wants to push the realism of WRC8. You know, Alan, I met Alan. This is Alan here. very, very French. Very hard for him and I to 100% understand each other. They're super duper serious though. KT Racing or Clyoton, and they've gone out of their way to acknowledge and push WRC 8 more than WRC 7. So when we talk about reviews, we talk about how I approach reviews. In the end, when push comes to shove and I have a copy here and I'm actually reviewing it, my thoughts are going to be, all right, WRC 7 was pretty hardcore. It was pretty serious. It had its pros. It had its goods and its not so goods. Have they really pushed it to a new level? That is what and I'm not talking about what I saw at E3, by the way. Too controlled, not my home, all of that. GT Planet has a write-up here saying GT Sport has sold an estimated 8 million copies. Now, someone correct me if I'm wrong on this. I thought I read, and maybe there was a difference in the way they're counting. I thought I read or saw that Forza Horizon 4 has 10 million players. Does that mean that, is this the first time ever that Forza has beaten a Gran Turismo title in overall sales? I don't know. Pretty impressive number, though. You do the math on that. What's 8 million times 50? I can't even do that kind of math. That's above my pay grade. WRC 7 aesthetics were great. They were actually some of the best, especially for an off-road title. There were certain things they did. I didn't even say some of this in my thoughts because, I'm not sure how much it follows through the entire game. But, when you have to just do a wall to keep people in bounds for a while, a lot of those look really stamped out, from an old Doom map almost. Just tile, 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 representing rocky cliff wall. And theirs just seemed to have a lot more thought to hide the fact that they're still doing that same trick. And that went a long way for me, actually. Tonight, I am going to have to miss this race, unfortunately. Tonight, which means that I've just completely thrown in the towel on Lionheart, which I hate to say. So I don't really mean that I've thrown in the towel. I mean, I am a non-factor in the points. I will now be making cameos at every Lionheart IndyCar series that I can. But without preparation, it's hard for me to really commit to. And anyway, tonight, I'm going to encourage you to go watch GSRC on iRacing Esports Network. So this is the prime time iRacing broadcasts. And go over there and check it out. GSRC on iRacing Esports Network tonight. This is going to be at 9:35 CT. That would be 6:35 my time, I believe. I can't even remember. Anyway, and that is tonight. And this is going to be 51 laps of Mossport, which means even the best of the best can make the slightest of mistakes and go off at that leap of faith. Turn 2, I guess it is. I just call it leap of faith. I don't know the real name. What's the real name of that coming over the hill left-hander at Mossport? I call it leap of faith. What do you call it? And what is its real name? Terge Hele says the WRC games have been disappointing. Full stop. His thoughts are the same. I'll put out my video tonight. You'll get my first thoughts on what I've seen so far. And then when we get a real copy, which shouldn't be too far off, we will give you our full thoughts. And I still have to give thought to how I'm going to approach reviews moving forward. My speed and openness in terms of being live versus edited and controlled. Let's talk Dream Gear. I like Dream Gear, stuff that we can wish we could afford or have. Anyway, this is the Sparco Aero KG 7.1 Evo. Tell me that doesn't look like a 310. Does that not look like the TSXW? Does that not look like the P310 competition Sparco mod? It sure does. Almost identical. I should grab it. Where is mine? It's sitting right there. Yeah, this is going to be a fun race to watch tonight for sure. For sure. You got to turn out for that. That'll be following Hotlap Humpday. That's after. Yeah, Billy knocked that one out of the park. He sure did. His review on the ACC and how his whole approach to it. Other dream gear. Look at this. Color for your steering wheel with a North World Sim hub. So this is going to be one of those adapter hubs that you can put a quick release on, put any kind of wheel on, and just so many options on the high end. Like, wow. I mean, you can have anything you want on your sim rig now. You can have Willwood hydraulic pedals. I do. You can have a Sparco 310 wheel with magnetic shifters on a wheel that can put out force feedback beyond what you could ever ask for. You can have all this. You can have your dash gauges. You can have your multi-screens or your VR. You can have your butt kickers, your sim vibes, your G-seats, your motion platforms. It's all here for all of us. I mean, what a year. 2019, people. Can you believe where we are? If you've been doing this a long time, seriously, can you believe where we are today? And we bitch about the littlest things now. Littlest things we're bitching about because we become so privileged in sim racing. And if you only knew what it was like to race on NASCAR 2003 or Need for Speed Porsche, look at what we can have. All right, a few dream rigs to finish off today's show, and then we're going to call it a day. I love this play seat. I am so not a fan of the cheap play seats with the center post design for the most part. I'm not even a huge fan of their formula rig because of the center post design. But this, I don't even know what they call this one. The Sensation Pro. This was posted by Mr. Schumacher. And it's a PlayStation Sensation Pro, which is not cheap. With a Leo Bodner 54G, which is not cheap. With a Derek Spear design sequential shifter with turn racing wheel. Pretty impressive rig right there. Big old monitor. Wonder what speed that monitor is. Anyway, here's another one. This one is by A New Bix. These are on Reddit. That's where these are found by The Man. Thank you, The Man, all the time. PVC rig. You saw the picture the other day of me talking to Brendan Prescott at E3. He built his own PVC rig that is very, very impressive. Maybe more impressive than the one that Jessica and I built way back in the day. Anyway, his DIY PVC rig went with the Simulator Mark II PVC plans. That's exactly, I don't think it was the Mark II. I'm not sure if it was the Mark II, but I built mine from the Simulator plans way back when and sort of adapted it to his liking, which I encourage everybody to do with any kind of DIY rig. Even if you're following plans, you got to tailor it to your needs. I'm short. Make it for the short guy. Logitech G920 wheel. Using the as-is PVC plans to do an inverted pedal mount with stock 920 pedals. Monitor's just a TV for now. Plan on going VR once some index reviews. Okay. Another dreamy looking rig. Is this a P1 or is this just another extrusion tubing rig? Hard to tell the difference for the savvy. Scorpix Big talking about this D-Box. It looks like a D-Box. I'm not 100% sure it's a D-Box, but that is a cool rig. What you have is essentially like a P1 style 80/20 profile rig up on 4 D-Box style, not sure it's D-Box, lifters, which is a very rock solid and really think of how small that profile is for a motion sim. And when I say any of us could have it, I mean, if you have a good job and you don't have a wife and kids, that is not an obscene amount of money for that guy. Anyway, cool rig. And then this is not a rig. This is a conversation that I've had with many friends, more about real life racing, but it so applies to sim racing. So this is posted by Taco Man 2018. And the first picture here is what my neighborhood looks like. So picture of a nice windy road in a neighborhood. And then what does he see in his head? He sees apex curbing. He sees branding for F1 type racing. And I'm assuming his neighbors hate him because that probably means that's the way he's driving it, not just seeing it. Is there an on-ramp? Is there a corner? Is there a road? Is there a spot in your hometown that you can't help it? It looks like a racetrack. It feels like a racetrack. And thereby, yes, I do double the speed limit on that one certain section. And should we be ashamed of ourselves for admitting such a thing? I'm not sure if I should tell I don't do that anymore. I used to be diseased by certain on-ramps that just had a certain camber to them. And my desire, like if I was in a car that could handle all right, there's one in West LA. And it starts down like maybe almost like 2 stories below the freeway. And it is a banked 180-degree on-ramp with camber. And you're gaining 2 stories of elevation while doing it. And you can go on there on any reasonable car and punch it. And just all the way around the corner. And by the time you get up this giant hill and onto the on-ramp, you're doing like 85 or 90 in anything decent. And it is super fun and it's hard to resist. But it also means that you pull onto a freeway doing ridiculous speed, which means if there's a cop, you're busted. Anyway, every road is a racetrack to a mirror. Tim sees the apexes, but not the rumble strips. If there are no cops, it's a racetrack. No advertising. Bensonius Prime says he can hit 90 every day on his way to work. That's awesome. Trackmania. Yeah. Anyway, the Autobahn. That's cheating. Anyway, I did love this post. I thought this was really, really appropriate, and it probably rings true for a lot of you guys as well. And it made for a perfect ending to today's Humpday. So I'll be back on the air at 3 o'clock with today's Hotlap, Ricmotech, Hotlap Humpday, me, Kevin Ford, and a special guest. We're going to be actually working on setup, talking about what we're doing. So there might be some good tech data for you there. No idea what car or track, so that could be problematic. Be sure to subscribe. Be sure to thumbs up. And be sure to tell a friend what we're doing. Tell them what we're doing here so we can keep growing the channel. That's going to do it for today. We'll see you later. This is the Simpit. I'm Shaun Cole, and I'll see you on the track.